Salam everyone and welcome back. Our next session is a live question and answer session, and we're joined by representatives from all three countries within our zone. Let's now meet our wonderful panelists. So beginning with Fiji, we have with us today Uncle Narendra. Uncle Narendra is an academic and professor of business in Fiji. He is an active member of the SSSIO organisation and has served as Chairman of Trustees, Chairman of the Institute of Sathya Sai Education, and also as the past President of the Sathya Sai Organisation of Fiji. Let's welcome Uncle Narendra. Saram, Uncle.
Sairam, Om Sri Sairam.
How are you this morning?
I'm okay.
That's wonderful to hear. Our next panelist is Brother Ritesh over in New Zealand, who was born into a Sai family and has served in the organisation in many roles, including young adult leader, centre chairperson, and treasurer in New Zealand. With Swami's guidance, he continues to serve in his current role as a National Young Adult Advisor. Professionally, he's a financial controller. Let's welcome Brother Ritesh.
Salam, everyone.
Saram, Brother Ritesh. How are you today?
Oh, very good, thank you. Very much enjoying the program.
And whereabouts in New Zealand are you calling from today, Brother Ritesh?
I'm based in Auckland at the moment.
Lovely. And is it cold there at the moment?
Well, it's winter. It's just stopped raining, so it's nice. It's pleasant.
Enjoying the warmth and the company of the Sai family.
Yes.
Moving across to Australia, now in relatively sunny Sydney, is Uncle Jeyapalan. Uncle Jeyapalan was born in Sri Lanka, but spent most of his life in Singapore, New Zealand, and in Australia. He's a mechanical engineer by profession in the water and the wastewater industry. Within the Sai organisation, he formerly served as National Devotional Coordinator and is presently serving as the National Sai Lifestyle Convener. Let's welcome Uncle Jeyapalan.
Loving Sairam to all.
Saram, Uncle.
Sairam.
Hope you're well today. And lastly, we have Auntie Saraswathi, who started her profession as a lecturer in Swami's College in Anandapur. Upon migrating to Australia, she worked mainly as a volunteer and qualified as a financial counsellor. She's been involved in the Sai organisation since childhood and served in many roles in India and Australia, including Regional President, National Young Adult Advisor, and is currently the Devotional Wing Coordinator for Region East in Victoria. Let's welcome Auntie Saraswathi.
Sairam, everyone. Thank you, Rupa.
Saram. Hope everything is going well in lockdown, and our thoughts and prayers are with all our Sai family in Melbourne joining us today.
Thank you. Missing you here.
Thank you all for joining us today. We'll go on to our questions. Our first question is for Brother Ritesh. Brother Ritesh, in your opinion, what is the number one way we can make a positive difference in this world?
Om Shri Sairam, everyone. My humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan, Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Sairam, everyone. I will answer this question in two parts. Firstly, what does Swami say? Swami used to say, "My life is my message." He now says, "Your life is my message." So what does this actually mean for each and every one of us? What it means really is we need to consistently practice Swami's teachings, no matter where we are and with whom we are. It doesn't matter, where we are, whether it's at the Sai Center, whether it's with our friends, etc. We need to be consistently practicing the teachings. Now, each and every one of us have many roles in life. We're either a son or a daughter to our parents. We might be parents ourselves. We will have friends. We'll have other relationships. We'll have work colleagues, etc. And we need to make sure that we are consistent and truthful and sincere with wherever we go. And that is the most important thing. We don't need to climb Mount Everest, as Swami says, we need to just practice one thing and do it well. And we shouldn't get inundated by feeling that, there's 100 things that Swami teaches and we need to practice all of them in one hit. Start with something and build on that. Now, I'd just like to share my own personal journey, where I started. Now, I was extremely fortunate back in 1994 that I was with the New Zealand youth group that went for Swami's 69th birthday. And I remember sitting there just a few rows behind Swami's students. And in those days, I had a lot of admiration. I still have a lot of admiration for Swami's students. And I used to put Swami's students way up on a pedestal, way up here, in terms of practicing Swami's teachings. And I put myself way down here. And I was sitting there feeling bad because I didn't think I was worthy enough to be in front of Swami's presence. And I was apologizing to Swami in my mind, waiting for Swami to come up. And I was saying to Swami, the only thing I'm really practicing of your teachings is I don't smoke, I don't eat meat, I don't drink alcohol. And I'm trying to do some service, I'm trying to do some silent sitting, but those are the only real things I'm doing. Now, that particular day on the 69th birthday, in Swami's discourse, Swami got up on the stage and he said, if you want to be a devotee of God, not just a devotee of Sai, but devotee of God, you need to give up smoking, give up eating meat, and give up alcohol. Now, for me, that was the first time I actually felt that Swami had accepted me as his devotee, because I thought that what I was doing was so small and insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but actually, I was worthy of becoming Swami's devotee because Swami said so on that day. Now, fast forward about a year from that point, I graduated from university and I joined a large corporate, PricewaterhouseCoopers. And being a first-year graduate, you want to make a good impression and you want to be part of the team and part of the culture. And one of the things that my work colleagues used to do is every Friday they used to go out for drinks and they used to eat meat and all that sort of stuff when we used to go out for dinner. But I always stuck to my principles of following Swami's teachings and not drinking while I was anywhere and not eating meat, etc. Now, I used to get a lot of peer pressure from my work colleagues, to participate and have a drink, try this, try that, and I always resisted. Now, a couple of years while I was with the firm, one of my work colleagues came to me and he said to me, I really admire you. And I said, why do you admire me? And he said, no matter how much we pushed you, you always stuck to your principles of not drinking. You always enjoyed coming with us and always participated, but you didn't move from your values and what you believed in. And what I started noticing was that because of that respect, not only that they had, but also the new graduates that came through had, because I was so dedicated to Swami's words and his values, they started listening to other ideas and opinions that I was putting in the organization. And they were following other things that I was doing in a good way. Now, again, fast forward to just a few months ago. Today, I have 2 children. My oldest just turned 18. And on his 18th birthday a few months ago, a family friend asked him, he goes, now that you're 18, you're legally allowed to drink. So are you going to start drinking? Now, my son replied, I don't need to drink to have fun. My parents don't drink. Now, these are the same values that I was brought up with my parents. And now my children are following the same values. So you see, the impact that we have on others and those around us is by actually practicing Swami's teachings and not just talking about it. Swami says, hands in society, head in the forest. So we need to be part of this world. We need to be part of society, and we need to sincerely practice Swami's teachings wherever we are and be consistent and truthful about them. The second part I'd like to talk about is what is Swami's key message? Swami says, love all, serve all. Now, I've been really fortunate in my life that I got to know a lady called Mata Betty. Now, Mata Betty, most New Zealanders will know her. She had been with Swami over many decades, and she has written many books on Swami, but she's passed on now. She spent a lot of time with the youth in New Zealand, and the key message she taught was, be the love that you are. Now, during that same 1994 trip, we were blessed with many interviews with Swami, and one of the things that we got a chance to ask Swami was this question. We asked Swami, how can we love you? And Swami replied, first, do your duty. Then, still do your duty. Now, what does this mean? So if you go back to the first principles, your life is my message. We must be consistent in practicing his teachings, but with love. The next thing Swami continued to say was, he said, this love is not your property. This love is not your grandfather's property. This love is God's property. But you are not giving this to me. And he had this really sad face. How can we love Swami, therefore? Love all, serve all. One of the things that I started doing from that point onwards is I started visualizing Swami in whoever I meet and wherever I see them. And what that's meant is that whenever I get negativity, criticism, etc., I see that it's Swami talking to me. And what that means is there's less room for me to be offended, less room for me to be annoyed, less room for me to react negatively to these situations because it's Swami talking to me. How many times, we go to the Sai Center, we're with our friends, somebody says something, we get all upset, we get all angry, right? We stop going to the Sai Center because somebody said something. We stop going to a friend's place, we stop meeting certain family members because somebody said something that, we got upset about. Now imagine if you saw Swami saying that to you. Imagine if that person was Swami saying that to you. Would you react the same way? The answer is probably not. I've been in many situations where Swami's been, really loving and caring and happy. And in other situations, he's been absolutely tearing us apart. Now, I've never been upset with Swami. So why should I get upset with the other person if that same Swami exists in the other person? So that for me has been a starting point. Now, I'm still in kindergarten. Maybe I've got to grade 2, so I'm still working on this. But that's been a starting point for me. I remember Uncle Arthur Hillcott from Australia. He had that big white beard, and he always used to say, either you liked it or you didn't. Now, some people would say to him, Arthur, that beard is hideous, get rid of it. Others would say, Arthur, that beard is beautiful, keep it. Now, it's the same beard. The beard itself hasn't changed, but the reaction to the beard is our own reaction, right? That reaction is our problem. And how we react to things is a reflection on what we are and who we are. It's not somebody else's problem. So we need to start to learn to react in a positive way. See the divinity in others. The more we start seeing that divinity in others, there'll be less opportunity for us to get upset and annoyed with things around us. I'd just like to quickly conclude and summarize, because I see my 10 minutes is almost up. Just like to quickly conclude and summarize. So the first thing is, your life is my message. Be sincere in whatever you do. Practice one thing and do it well, but at least start somewhere and then build on that over life. And then do it with a lot of love. See the love in others. That is how you'll have an impact on others. Don't underestimate the impact you have on others. Don't think that what you're doing is small. Start somewhere, do something, and we don't even realize the positivity we have in those around us. And the more we do that, the more we'll believe and follow Swami's teachings, and the more the people around us will change as well and will react the same way. I hope that's answered the question. Jai Sai Ram.
Thank you so much, Brother Ritesh. And thank you for that wonderful story that you shared. It was indeed a timely reminder that Swami is our ultimate eternal witness, and he hears every thought in our prayer, and the real importance of sticking to our principles and the integrity that demonstrates. And if we can just imagine the impact if we interacted with everyone in the world as though they were God, it certainly provides us for some food for thought. We'll move on to our second question, which is for Uncle Narendra. This is a big one, Uncle Narendra, and you have a short 10 minutes to tackle this big topic. What do you think makes life meaningful?
Om Sri Sai Ram to all of you. Thank you very much for asking me to speak today on this very important topic. The two key words in our topic is life and meaningful. Life is about all types of life in the universe, but today our focus is on human life. And the second one is meaningful. And when we talk about meaningful, we are talking about how it can give us joy, it can give us happiness, contentment, and be purposeful, because there are so many things which we wish to do in the world. we cannot do all the things which we want to do. What we basically need to do is to pick some of the more important ones or the most important things which we want to do in our life. And if we have time, you could go and do the other ones later on. So what we need to do is to find out the things which are most important and focus on those points, focus on those pains. See, in this world, apart from doing things for ourselves, we need to see what we can live for society, for the community and the world at large once we are gone. By the way, we will all be gone one day. So what we are living for others. So what I thought I will do is share with you some key points related to this talk, about 10 key points. And the first key point is, what do you value most in your life? What do you value most in your life? And therefore you will focus on those things. Some people value their job, they value the assets they have. Some people value money. But one very important thing quite often some of us forget is the relationship. What relationship we have with others, relationship with your family, with your friends, with your colleagues, with your spiritual colleagues, and the community in which you live. If you lose out on the job, you lose out on the money, you lose out on the promotion, you can make it up later on. But once you lose relationship, it is lost for a long time or forever. So ensure that you have relationship. I just add a little bit more to this. During this COVID period, a number of people are looking for old friends and relatives and getting in touch with them. So relationships are very important. So one of the key points, as I mentioned, is that don't forget relationship. You don't want to forget relationships, people whom you know, your relatives and your friends, and as I mentioned. The second point is, reduce your desires. Humankind has unlimited desires. We want too many things in the world, but we don't have enough resources for that. So what we need to do is to reduce our desires, and so that you satisfy your needs. So reduce your desires, satisfy your needs, and that we can bring happiness. You would have noticed there are many people, they might think money gives you happiness, but the richest people in the world, you might have read in the news, they spend a lot of their resources on helping other people. So money brings you some happiness, but might not bring total happiness. So this is where, by doing community work, doing work for others, helping others, brings you greater level of happiness. The third point which I wish to share about life and making it meaningful is, focus on the work you are doing now. We have the tendency of paying attention to more than one thing at a time. So focus on one thing at a time and give 100% plus of your effort, 100% plus of your effort, so you are able to get the best result. Quite often we do one thing, it's not finished, and we want to do another thing. It doesn't help us. So focus on whatever you are doing. Quite often we have to do things which you might not want to do. You have to clean the house. It is a thing which you have to do. You have to do it but if you do it 70%, 60%, the house is not fully clean and neat. So you want to pay 100%. Whatever thing you have to do, you must do it with interest. Focus on what you are doing. Okay, another point is, fourth point is, say what you mean. Get to the point. We sometimes have great difficulty in telling people, telling colleagues what the actual point is. There is a cultural difference out here. In many of the Eastern cultures, we try not to be too direct. and quite often in Western culture, it is direct to the point. But being direct does not mean you have to be rude. You can say things in a pleasant manner so that the facts are out there and we understand and take it on from out there. Another point is find your purpose in life. What is our purpose in life is just like one of my previous colleagues mentioned about some people want to go to job, have party and fun and all the other thing. Maybe some people's purpose in life is that. So once you find your purpose in life, then you can fully pay attention to it. You are what you might say you are looking for your dream job. All of us cannot get our dream job. All of us cannot get our dream job. If you get your dream job, congratulations to you. But whatever job you have to do, you want to do it in a good way to the satisfaction of your supervisor, to the organization where you're employed, in society generally. So what I'm basically saying, look for the job which you like. And for some reason, if you don't like a job, I might suggest you might have to leave that job and look for the job which you like. But if you cannot find a job which you like, then you start liking the job which you have to do. Start liking the job which you have to do. Another point when you talk about making life meaningful is that we need to stop worrying about what others might think about us. Quite often we spend our time, should I do this or not? My colleagues will be angry, my family will be angry, my neighbors will be angry, society will be. As long as you are doing something which is legal, rightful, ethical, correct, sustainability, why are you worried about others? You don't have to seek their approval. Your behavior, your actions will give approval to what you are doing from society. So if you are on the right track, you are doing the right thing, why you need anybody's approval? You don't need. Approval will come without your asking for it. So that is another important point. Also, another point is accept things as they are or make changes. Quite often, we have the habit of complaining, if I was there, I will do this, I don't like that. If you can make some change, be the change. And if you can't make changes, we have to keep quiet. If you can make changes, make changes. If you can't make changes, take things as they are and accept it. Also, another point is to be very supportive, in the organization or wherever you are working, at your workplace, with your colleagues, in the community, spiritual organization, inside organization. There are decisions made, and as members of institutions, any organization, we need to be supportive. Quite often, a lot of our time is lost or wasted when the members of the team, the word team means supporting. If we are not supporting, it becomes very difficult. So we end up firefighting about things. So we should be supporting, all the time, supporting, our colleagues and friends. I got a few more points. These 3 points, very important. One is discipline. Discipline is about following rules and regulations of institution, of society. Discipline is what makes us progressive. It makes us good citizens of the place. Discipline implies an element of, an element of a problem. Discipline says if you are disciplined, it's some aspect of your freedom is taken away. So we need to be disciplined. Once you are disciplined, you make and do the work which is right. You do it regularly. Just like, I'll give you an example, is that some of you want to wake up early in the morning. Some people sleep late and want to wake up early in the morning. But when the alarm goes, you say, it's okay, I will just sleep another 10 minutes, and then you fall off to sleep. discipline has an element of sacrifice. One of my colleagues who spoke earlier on, you mentioned that you went to university and you are a finance controller. You would have worked hard. You would have wanting to get good grades. And once you get the good grades and the good jobs and all those things come in life. So discipline is sacrifice, but there is fun later on. So very important part of finding meaningful life, meaningfulness in life is discipline. Couple of more points. One is health. Swami says, health is wealth. If your health is not good, you can't do many of the things in the world you want to do. You are going to the hospital all the time, or you are in the bed. So good health is very simple. Good health is sleeping enough, eating the right food, and having the right thought. Just like the previous speaker mentioned that you are vegetarian, no alcohol, and all the other things, and your friends do it. And if you follow this thing, you must maintain good health. If you have good health, then you are able to take a lot of stress in life if it is necessary. So maintain good health, and good health is a very important part of our life so that you can do all these extra things which you want to do. My last point is on gratitude. Gratitude, if you look up a dictionary, means, when you are thankful. I'll take you and give you a real example. In 1989, and I will give you the 1989, Swami was talking to a group of Sevadal people. And he asked them a general question. And the question is, what is the most important thing in the world? What is the most important thing in the world? So it could be most important thing in your life. And all people who were present, the Sevadal people, they gave all sorts of answers, spiritual answers. Swami said it was not the answer which Swami was wanting. Swami used just one word. Swami said, gratitude. Gratitude is the most, and if you wish to check, this is page 13 of Shirdi to Puttaparthi by Dr. Kagadi and Veerbhadra, page 13. So, and Swami said it in 1989. So gratitude is a very important part of our life. So I think I should be rounding up. So for me to finish, I'll leave you with few key points which I mentioned. And obviously, gratitude is a very important thing. And if I may add a little bit more to gratitude, people who have done things for us, we forget. We only remember what happened yesterday and not the previous day. Gratitude to our parents, gratitude to our community, gratitude to the universe, to the whole place, and obviously gratitude to the Lord. We seem to forget. We must be thankful. And because if other people had not done those things, we wouldn't have enjoyment and good life and all these things. So I feel I'm most gratitude for the pre-world conference people asking me to speak today. So I'm able to share some of my thoughts with you. And the other points which I thought I should bring it to your attention towards the end is maintaining good health is unbelievable. We are going through this COVID now. And if the government makes some rules and regulations about you're a lockdown area, wear masks and don't go away, we must follow it strictly. Strictly. That is where discipline comes in. With that, I will say Om Sri Sai Ram, and thank you very much for asking me to speak, and wish you people all the best for the remainder of the conference. Thank you very much. Om Sri Sai Ram.
Thank you so much, Uncle, for sharing your wisdom and tackling this big question and really translating it into simple, practical life lessons, including the importance of gratitude and of discipline. And certainly your story of just simple things, practically getting up in the morning brought a smile to my face, as I'm sure many of us will experience going into these cold winter months and having the temptation to hit the snooze button on our alarms. Our next question is for Uncle Jeyapalan. Uncle Jeyapalan, in what ways has Sri Sathya Sai Baba's teachings shaped you to be the person you are today?
Thank you, Rupa. Loving Sai Ram to all. My humble pranams to my Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. To have some perspective to the question about Swami, teachings, and myself, I need to take you all back to the past where everything began. Just to give a gist of things. It all started in 1999 in Singapore, where I was living with my family, working there. And my life was revolving around my engineering, looking after the family, and my love for sports that I played passionately. And spirituality was not in my radar at all. But it all started all of a sudden. One day, my mother-in-law visited us and was having a chat with us about her trip to India. And she was telling my wife about the whole trip to India. And then she turned and looked at me and said, Jaya, I visited Puttaparthi. So, and she said, I saw Sathya Sai Baba. Oh, really? And then she said, I think he's God. It didn't make any big impact on me. Then, that following weekend, I was visiting their home, my in-law's place, and I saw this book on the shelf, Seeking Divinity by Jack Hislop. And they were not Sai devotees, but someone has given this book to them. So I just picked up this book, borrowed it, took it home, and sank in my easy chair. And I just opened the first page to read. It was dusk. It was 6 o'clock in the evening. And I opened the first page, and there was a bit of dust around me. And I didn't take much notice because Singapore is always dusty a bit because there's a lot of construction activity going on. And I kept on reading the book. And I went on to the second page. And then this dust became a bit so intense. And then the smell of the dust started changing. The sweet fragrance. I can't call it jasmine or sandalwood or whatever. I'm not used to these things. And it became very intense. I didn't tell anybody. I started reading the book. I kept on reading. And the following day after, journey started happening within me. Very unknown things. I'm not used to it. And I was being pulled by something the unknown. And the first reaction is I was really scared. It was fear. And then I felt a strange pull of love from the unknown, which I couldn't put any reason to it. And then from there onwards, I kept on reading this book, but I was carrying on my work. And then one day I went to Little India and I bought 2 CDs of Sai Baba. And I came and played on my CD player. And then to my amazement, the second day when the bhajan was played in the CD player, the same incense smell started coming from the CD player. This made matters worse in my head because I couldn't figure it out. I was so scared. But then it went on like that, and after some time, I started attending Sai Baba in Singapore. I was seated in a corner among the 200 people. I didn't know even a single bhajan. I just bought a book and I started singing. And after a couple of months, the time arrived for me to visit Buddha. I was seated there at the darshan, waiting for Swami. The first day at Patti, and I saw Swami 100 meters away, and I was completely dismantled by the Lord. I was completely gone. Tears rolling down my cheeks. I didn't know where I was. And I realized I have seen my God, my Guru, and myself. And that was the beginning of everything in my journey. And wherever I walked in Patti, I had this taste of vibhuti on my tongue. I used to wonder, I didn't toss any vibhuti in my mouth, but it kept happening, appearing in my tongue, the taste of it. After many years, I researched and I found what is the true meaning for vibhuti is glory of God. This tongue will always speak glory of my Lord. So then I moved to Sydney from Singapore. I joined one of the centers and they asked me to be the spiritual coordinator. So then I dived into satsang, and this was my passion, study circles. So I started reading Sanatana Sarathis and Shama Showers and Sai speaks, Sathya speaks. And I taking notes and notes and notes and notes. And I was delivering at the center. Every week after week after week, I was doing this. And one day, after a few months of this work, I was typing the notes and everything came to a standstill. I couldn't type anymore. The thoughts stopped and the hands didn't move. And I was shaking. I looked at Swami's photo. What's happening? I thought I'm doing the right thing. And I went down my knees in front of Swami. And I pleaded to Swami, please take all this knowledge away from me. I don't have to have this with me. All I need is to be with you. Please let me be with you. That's all I need. And in my inner vision, Swami, for the last 15 years, that's what I was doing. Early morning, I get up, sit in front of Swami and have his darshan. I don't speak. I don't ask any questions. I no thoughts, no deliberations, nothing. Absolute silence. Just watching Swami in front of me. He fills me with his darshan every day. Now, coming back to study circles, I was very passionate about the five human values, Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Ahimsa. It drilled deep into me. And then I had my own dilemmas with this Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Ahimsa. Every time I want to uphold righteousness and truth, I seem to lose my peace. I seem to lose my love. At the same time, I have gone past, I have seen unrighteous acts, and I have ignored it for the sake of my own peace. That is also not right. This is also not right. I asked Swami, how can Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Ahimsa all can coexist together at one point of time in one place? How can it survive like that? How can we handle this? I have forgotten the question. After many years, I was at Patti again. Swami was coming in for darshan. I was seated among the thousands, and a flash of thought just hit my head. Look at me. Look at me. This is where Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Ahimsa all coexist together. Only God can hold everything together at one point of time. So I was so amazed by this Swami's grace and kindness to show me this. The question I asked many years ago. So I quickly came back to Sydney and I ran a study circle on the same topic again. So going back to the topic of Swami's teachings and my life transformation, the way I look at it, I be with Swami and he makes me the teachings. He is the book. He's everything for me. And he gives it to me, whatever I need. And I become just a conduit in study circles, whatever. Swami said, for some people, the guru comes to take that person towards God. For some people, God himself comes as a guru. For them, spirituality is very, very simple. Always be with Swami, and he will guide us through whatever we need. And when the time comes, we will get it. Jai Sai.
Sarah, Uncle, thank you so much for taking us on your very personal journey on spirituality and your journey towards Swami's teachings. And I think what I got from that is if we ask with deep yearning any thoughts or questions we have, Swami will provide the answers, and we have to be ready to listen for those answers in whatever shape or form they take. Our final question is for Auntie Saraswathi. Can you please share the moment you felt most united or connected with Swami, either in his physical or non-physical presence?
Sai Ram, everyone. For me, to connect to Bhagavan, it has to start from us. We need to have the yearning and the longing to connect to him. And if there is a longing and yearning, he guides us along and he pulls us through. That is what happened in my life. And to connect to Swami, all of us know that there are quite a few methods how we can connect ourselves to. 9 paths of devotion, chanting, hearing, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, remembering ourselves, serving the Lord, Archanam, worshipping him, Bandhanam, prostration, Dasyam, servitude, Sakyam, friendship, Atmanivedanam, surrendering ourselves. Any of these can be chosen by us. Also, that is a path of devotion. And as Brother Jeyapalan mentioned, you can also choose the path of Jnana, Satsang, reading, learning, and diving into, going inward, self-inquiry, and thereby uniting yourself to the Lord. And some can also take the path of action. Swami said, Tasmai Namaha Karmane, worship the karma itself. Start the karma, offering to the Lord. Complete the karma, thinking of him, and end of the karma also offer it without any expectation. What in any path we choose, I think the main thing is the focus should be on our beloved Bhagavan. The focus should never change, and it has got to be pure and selfless with no expectations and egoless. So my path started when I was young. I chose, or rather, I was introduced to the path of Namasmarana. When I was a child, 6 years itself, I had a big accident. In overnight, chanting the Nama, Swami healed me. But of course, as you know, we as human, that age, I never realized the importance. I was taking everything mechanical and doing. And again, Swami gave me a jerk at the age of 13, creating a longing. But when all my family was in close proximity with Bhagavan during the thread ceremony for my brothers, except me, being a girl, and I really felt the pangs of separation, and I wanted to go close to Swami. Till then, I was surviving with the thought, Swami is mine, and I was taking it for granted, everything. Then Swami reminded me, no, you have got to start your own sadhana of getting closer to me. That was a hint I got. So then I started focusing on chanting the name. And then slowly the desire came and I joined Swami's college. And once I joined Swami's college, again, I was thinking going closer in physical proximity, you will get connected. But human mind, when you are in close proximity, again, your expectation of Swami talking to you, blessing you, looking at you, smiling at you, giving interviews, creating something and giving it to you. And it goes on, the list goes on. The desire never ends. And Swami hinted again, come on, take the Namasmaran. And then I was fortunate that I was introduced to singing. And through singing, of course, when you sing, you get really linked to the divine in you. And that's a blissful experience you enjoy. And it is a total unity. It's a communication with Swami. You are in communion with Bhagavan, and that's a blissful experience. And that is again transient. When you sing in the presence of Bhagavan, when you are the divine presence, you have that experience. When you are out, again, when you are in body consciousness, you lose it. Actually the blissful feeling when you are experiencing, you don't know that you are experiencing even. That the union you experience, you realize it when you come out of it, when you are in body consciousness. Again, it's a reminder, come on, try. You have to keep trying. As a human, I think we need to go on continuing our sadhana. So one such example. So I was, so this was the time when I was in my post-graduation and continued my, when I was waiting there, Swami gave me a noble opportunity of singing in the mandir every day. And I wanted to do something for my Lord for his birthday. So I decided I will chant his name a particular number of times. So I just continued just starting with that, and he kept giving me the boost of continuing it. So that process went on. And the time came when I finished my studies and I joined as a lecturer in Swami's college, and then my time came again getting married. And Swami, it was the Swami's instructions. I was to get married, and then he called for an interview. And during the interview, and Swami, it was a beautiful thing. What happened? It was, so when I finished my sadhana, right before the previous day of his birthday, and I was expecting some, you see, as a human mind, you always expect something from, some recognition from Swami, whether Swami knew what I was doing. And I didn't find anything extraordinary indication from Swami. Then I convinced myself saying that anyhow, I did mechanically the Namasmaran. I was with the intention of completing it. So that's okay. So I just convinced myself and I forgot about it. But in the interview, Swami created a Gayatri mala, and then he chanted the Gayatri for me. This is a link connecting to when I was 13 years old, when my brothers and they got Upanayam, and I was left out because being a girl, I could not be in the proximity and I could not get the opportunity and the longing. Swami remembered that, and then he initiated himself the Gayatri to me, and he gave me the Gayatri Mala, which shows that if you persevere with your sadhana, asking for Lord to go close to him, he also recognizes that, he also pulls you through. And then another one, and then he again created another locket for me, and that locket said, one side 22, and then Swami said, this is my birthday gift. So nobody knew, only myself and Swami knew what it was about. And then he turned the other side and he told me, trust in God. It was written there, trust in God. He said, trust in God. So that was the message he gave me, that you have to trust that The spiritual path is the path, and it is the path you have to tread, and you have to have faith in it and follow his words. And he also told me, wherever you go, you must do my service. Wherever you go, I am with you. So that assurance Swami gives us, that no matter what comes in our path, troubles, turbulations, they are nothing but reminders to go close to him. We must always see the positive side of it and then take it as a hint. Hey, you need to do more sadhana. Turn inward. So they are the indicators which makes you turn inward. So I think yatna prayatnam manava dharmam. What we need to do is continue our spiritual journey. Do never be satisfied with where you are. That is my sincere suggestion to all our brothers and sisters. Continue. If you are there somewhere, you remember you need to grow a bit more. Aim high. In spirituality, there should not be satisfaction. We must aim high. The more and more and more we take effort, Swami will guide us. That will help us to purify us. As Namasmarana is nothing, it's one of the tools which helps us to connect us to Bhagavan. And when we connect to Swami constantly, continuously, that becomes constant integrated awareness. Swami is always behind, at the back of our mind. When Swami is always in the back of our mind, naturally, we will not do anything which is not pleasant to Bhagavan, which in return helps us to purify ourselves. If we purify ourselves, then it naturally takes us closer to Bhagavan, which is nothing but unity in the form of which you experience in the shape of bliss or peace or contentment when you do a right action. Thank you, Sai Ram. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you so much, and for taking us back to Prashanthi with your story, and to remind us to try again in our efforts, and to never lose that spiritual thirst. We now have a question for all of you, changing tack a little bit. Can you please share with us some examples of unity between the different cultures within your residing country? We'll start here in Australia first with Uncle Jeyapalan.
Sairam. I hope I'm sharing the voice with Sister Saraswathi. Australia has evolved to a multicultural society, and there is reasonable harmony in all the communities. At the same time, when there is some calamity strikes, unity gets tested. As you know, this whole world is in a state of flux. People are moving from left and right to different countries. So this is where that we are put to test. And as Sai devotees, we carry a big responsibility. Swami says, unity is divinity. This is true peace. In 1926, November 24, Sage Aurobindo came out of his state of meditation, and declared that Krishna has arrived to bring peace to this world. You know what happened on the 23rd of November? Swami arrived on this planet. And then Swami brought us into his fold on his mission. And he has prepared us for this mission. And we are the beacons of that peace. And we carry that ultimate responsibility to carry that and carry through that mission. So Swami wants every one of us to become a jnani. And who is a jnani? a God-realized person. And you can visualize Jnani in so many ways, but I visualize very simply. Just visualize your heart, which has grown to a huge tree with the roots deep, running deep into divinity, into God. And these branches are spread with lush leaves and a big trunk, and all the birds and butterflies come and sit there and rest, and they move on. All the species come and sit and move on. All people who come through your life, they will come and rest in your heart. And then you give the shade and the comfort and the security, and then they move on. So your heart is the resting place for all walks of life. And that is what Swami wants. And we all must become that. And that is unity, and that is peace. Saira.
Sam, Auntie Saraswathi from Melbourne, do you have anything else to add?
No, thank you. All good.
We'll hop across to New Zealand to hear from Brother Ritesh.
Salam everyone again. New Zealand is a population of about 5 million people, which is only about the size of Sydney. But yet we've got over 100 different nationalities that are living and residing in New Zealand. And pretty much the demographics are that approximately 70% of our population is of European descent. The other 15% is of Maori descent, which is the original people of the land. And the rest is spread across Pacifica people, Indian people, Asian people, and so forth. And we're very fortunate here in New Zealand that, we've got freedom of speech and expression, and all the cultures are actually well recognized and represented. And it starts right at the top. So even in our parliament, even though the Maori people represent 15% of the population, approximately 21% of politicians are actually of Maori descent. And also in our parliament, we have Indians, we have Asians, we have Pacifica, and we even have an ex-refugee who came to New Zealand being represented. So right from the top in our country, there's been good representation of the different nationalities. The Maori people in New Zealand also are not isolated to reserves or anything like that. They're part and parcel of society along with everyone else. And we see them and their language in our schools. You see them you see the culture in the sports field by way of the haka. You would have seen the All Blacks do the haka. All the schools, have their own version of the haka. And a lot of the words that we speak in New Zealand come from a Maori background, like kia ora, which is a greeting, or whanau, which means family. And that's used widely and extensively by the media, in people's homes, at schools, and etc. And most people understand and accept those words. Now, with respect to, other cultures across the country as well, for example, here in Auckland, the Indian culture is very much supported by the city council, and the Chinese culture is very much supported by the city council because they promote, for example, the Diwali festival that we celebrate. And it's a 2-day festival, usually around October. And you see people from all walks of life come into that, and not just Indian people turning up to that. You see people from, all the different ethnicities coming, enjoying the program, enjoying the food. The same thing with the Chinese New Year is also celebrated here, by way of the Lantern Festival. And again, the same thing, people from all different backgrounds will come and participate in those activities. And there's no real suppression or negativity towards any of the other religions or anything. Now, one of the things that usually brings a lot of the people and religions and cultures and, different demographics together is when we have tragedies in the country. And, about 10 years ago, we had the Christchurch earthquake. And that actually brought a lot of people from various backgrounds together, because Christchurch was hit by a massive earthquake where, a number of people died. Part of the city was destroyed. And, we had the youth from the local university getting involved in the cleanup. We had members of the SSSIO organization going down and helping with the cleanup. We had people from different backgrounds supporting those that were impacted. And they were all from different cultures, different backgrounds, etc. And sometimes it takes a tragedy to bring so many people together. So those are just some of the activities that we see here in New Zealand. And the reality is, you know, everyone is living in such a wonderful mixed environment, and there's so many opportunities, and you know, to enjoy the different cultures, to go to your mosque, to go to your Hindu temple and your church, and everyone is welcome anywhere. And we're very privileged and lucky to be in such a place. So Jai Sai Ram.
Sarah, Brother Ritesh, thank you so much for sharing that. And certainly when I visited New Zealand a couple of years ago, that was the first thing that stood out from even stepping out onto the airport. The real smooth and natural integration of the Maori culture that you describe. It was so evident and so wonderful to see in a country just draw on the positive and the strengths of their different culture and sort of imbibe into their own. We'll now move to Fiji. Uncle Narendra, can you please share with us some of the experiences that you've experienced in Fiji?
Sri Sai Ram, thank you. If I may say Bula now. In Fiji, our population is it's less than 1 million, about 930 to 950,000. And our population structure is, there are two main, in fact, from the last few years, all of us are called Fijians now. And the population structure is, there is the Indian community, there is the Fijian community, the Itoke community, the natives, and the native community is about twice the size of the Indian community now. And then there is a small community of Pacific Island people and the European people or other people. So there's three groups. The key question is, what if there is any cooperation and mixing around and helping each other? I would like to share you, we had three major disasters in the last 5 years. Two of them were hurricanes, cyclones. And both the cyclones in 2016 and the one late last year was category 5, which is the most serious one. And of course, currently, this is the bigger disaster than the cyclone, is the COVID-19. And I have seen that over these last 5 years, these two cyclones and the currently COVID-19, people of all ethnic groups are working together to help each other. All the NGOs, the spiritual organizations, service organizations. For example, the big cyclone which we had in 2016 was in Reki and Tailevu areas of Viti Levu and little bit in Vanuatu. So people from other parts of Fiji got together, they went with their own group, and not only groups, people were working individually to help each other. So in addition to government organizations doing it, the community did it regardless of who the other people were. So I have seen in times of disaster, in times of major calamities, people do come together to help each other. So we might look different, we have different aspirations, different values, but when there is a disaster, an external threat, people here do come together. And my brother mentioned about in New Zealand, when there is Diwali, people come together and share the happiness, and same sort of thing happens out here. So we have positive examples of working together. Thank you very much. Om Sri Sai Ram.
Thank you, Uncle Narendra, and to all our panelists today for sharing your personal experiences. It's really great to hear from all of you on the different perspectives, on the many different aspects on this topic of unity that we uncovered today. Sai Ram.